Hello, if you are looking for a full review of ESPN Plus streaming service, you've came to the right place. I'm Mike of Fights with Friends. Please hit that like button if you're new here. Make sure you subscribe if you like what I do. Ring that bell so you're notified whenever I go live or post a new video. But let's get into what ESPN Plus is. So what is it? If you're a fight fan, you're going to get a ton of ESPN events next year. 30 to be exact. And it's going to start out with Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw. Now, I will break down this entire card on another video. But you can see here, there are 11 fights. And there are 11 fights with notable fighters. Every single one of these fights has potential, and the main card on this, it stands up to just about any pay-per-view card, definitely the average pay-per-view card. What else is on here? I mean, you got hockey, you got basketball, you have a lot of different things, but let's just go to MMA. You got the Ariel Helwani's MMA show, right? You have a ton of news. You have UFC Reloaded. A lot of people have asked me in the past, is ESPN Plus going to take over UFC Fight Pass? They plan, the real answer, the long answer is no. They plan to keep on running ESPN Plus. Can you get enough fights off of this for $5 a month? You're going to get a ton of live fights. Like I said, 30 events. And you're looking at 10 to 12 fights per card. Plus, you're going to get prelims of the ESPN, the 15 cards that are on ESPN, the cable channel. And look at how many fights are on here. This is just UFC Reloaded. Holloway versus Aldo 2. Bigfoot versus Arlovsky. Arlovsky versus Barnett. There are tons and tons of fights. Alvarez versus McGregor. So the technical answer is no, it does not replace UFC Fight Pass if you care about watching every specific fight. Is this a valuable DVR for a fight fan? You're damn right it is. It's freaking awesome. I'm Velasquez versus Dos Santos 3. Look at this. You got UFC main event. You got UFC Reloaded. And then you have another thing. These are just tons and tons of great matchups, including they have the newer fight, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor, also on here. I know that's on here somewhere. You got Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit. Holly Holm versus Valentina Shevchenko. You got Ariel and the Bad Guy. You got 30 for 30. You have E60, First Take. There is so much stuff to watch on here. For somebody like me that runs a fight channel, that watches mostly fights. When I watch TV, you guys know that's mostly what I watch. And I am considering canceling my UFC Fight Pass because this is just better. For $5 a month, like I said, you're going to get all the live shows, and there is plenty of DVR to watch. I cannot watch these fights. I won't watch all these fights in a year. This is 5 flashback. You can see this is only 6, but you could see some of the other ones, just a crazy amount of fight. I mean, how long is it going to last you? Here's greatest. This is the 25 greatest fights of UFC history. Counting down. So you can watch every single one of those fights in its entirety. Even if this doesn't last you a year, I'm sure, you could cancel your Fight Pass for several months. I mean, you would have to not have a job and just sit here and sit and watch fights to get through all this stuff. I mean, I guarantee you I will not watch all the fights on here in a year. Guaranteed. I'll watch all the live fights, And that's going to be tough. I mean, we're looking at like 300 live fights, like 200 to 300 live UFC fights. I mean, that's absolutely insane. And what do you have? You have a lot of NBA news. I know they have some live NBA schedule coming on here, some games on here. You got ranking, the NBA players who won 2018. You have a ton of different cool shows. All your fantasy stuff's here. Makes it very nice and organized with everything else that you do for ESPN. Whether you're even using ESPN Plus, you log into here. You can listen to ESPN Radio. You can listen to free podcasts. You can see the radio schedule. It's a very clean website. It really is very nice. I said I like it very much so. And you go through here, you get to see current fights. Like this, Nunez knocks out Cyborg. This just happened last week. They show most of the fight. The highlights are on the most of the fight. You can see a lot of the fight of John Jones and Alexander Gustafsson. $5 a month. You're going to get to see Ryan Hall's incredible heel hook submission of BJ Penn. And incredible up-to-date MMA news from Ariel Helwani, from Chael Sonnen, from a lot of people. Look at this Edson Barbosa and Dan Hooker fight from UFC Fight Night Milwaukee. You're going to get so much stuff on here. You can get video on Bellator. Bellator, brings some of it over because it is still ESPN and they want that eye. They want people to have that eye on this. But yeah, you have Ariel Helwani's MMA show and Ariel and the Bad Guy. I mean, that's, two different things. Let's go ESPN Plus. So this is what you're going to see on your home screen. ESPN Plus tonight, on about 2.5 hours, you're going to get the New Jersey Devils versus the Dallas Stars. If you're a hockey fan, you're going to get college basketball. This is all coming up. This is local. So whatever local area you're in, your basketball, if you're, Washington College or High Point, whatever it is, click on your local channel. Your local game will be on there. You got cricket. I mean, I never thought I'd be covering cricket. But you do, you have cricket, you have basketball. Like I said, you have hockey. You have a lot of stuff. Best of the UFC, so much fighting, so many different shows. You got the fantasy show. You have the 30 for 30. Great documentary on the 85 Bears, if you're a football fan. So let's check out all the shows here real quick that you have. You have ESPN Counterpunch, if you're a boxing fan. The Boxing Beat with Don Raphael. And then I said MMA, Ariel and the Bad Guy. You have a soccer show. You have a hockey show. You have pretty much whatever you're looking for, you're pretty much going to find it here. Shows 30 for 30 Spotlight series. What do we got for a series? All the UFCs we talked about. UFC Main Event, UFC Reloaded, UFC Fight Flashback, UFC 25 Greatest Fights, UFC Top 10, which is going to be like top 10 knockouts, top 10 submissions, and then UFC Unleashed. They were able to get that library, and that is a ton of great shows that they just put together, a lot of the best fights in MMA history. You got this OJ Made in America. I have not watched all of it yet. I watched a little bit of the beginning of it. People have said it was amazing. What I've seen at the beginning is amazing. Best of UFC here. I don't even think I mentioned that. Best of E60. 30 on 30 shorts. What do you got for original? You got all the E60. What does that cover? 4 weeks in Ferguson, some of the first biggest contracts, some of the biggest moments in sports. And of course, the 30 for 30, you're going to get a ton of that. It gets very specific. If you're a Duke basketball fan, there's 8 series here just to watch on different things of Duke. Not even them playing yet. But, like I said, this OJ Man in America, it's pretty long. It looks like it's close to 7 hours altogether. But I've heard it is very good. You're going to get SportsCenter every night. Let's check out this 30 for 30, the whole thing through. Tommy Morrison, if you're a boxing fan. Even wrestling, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, the legendary Junior Seau. Bobby Knight, an exciting, bolsterous, obviously controversial figure, but a very entertaining one, nonetheless. Just so much stuff. Special on Ricky Williams here. Straight out of LA. More stuff on OJ. Chasing Tyson. Muhammad versus Larry. It's a whole special on breaking down everything going on at the time that Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes fought. The story of George Steinbrenner. See 30 for 30 Volume 1. They have so many of these 30 for 30s now. I mean, you could sit here and just watch The Real Rocky, Chuck Wepner. I think it was, that's the story. This is the guy that the movie Rocky was based on. So just an absolute incredible amount of stuff. Like I said, Venus versus, you're going to get a bunch of tennis stuff on here. Let's try to go back to here, show you guys some other stuff. I know there's cricket, but you can go back, you can watch it. You got 20 NHL games coming up right now. And you got games you can watch right now. The NBA G League, the college hoops. I know they are going to have some NBA basketball in there too. If you're a racing fan, you got racing. More on demand. Let's see all of the more on demand. I haven't even looked at this recently. I looked at this when it first came out. U.S. Open Classic. If you want to go back and watch that, I haven't watched that. I may check out some of that. I actually enjoy watching tennis. Sometimes, maybe not, 4-hour matches. But if you're a boxing fan, this is worth it to pay for 1 month just for what you're going to get for classic boxing. Look at the Muhammad Ali fights you get on your DVR. George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Rocky Marciano, Tyson, and this is not even showing everything, so you can expand this to see all, and so you're going to get quite a bit of Ali. Ali versus Liston 1 and 2. I mean, it looks like. I gotta be careful. I don't want to start playing this. I might have accidentally started that. I don't want to get demonetized. But here's Ali versus The Real Rocky, Chuck Wepner, Max Baer versus Jim Broderick. This is what Cinderella Man's based on. That guy, James Braddock. Crawford versus Campos. You're going to get the entire library, basically, of all the stuff that ESPN has done. You get all the way back to Jack Dempsey, De La Hoya versus Chavez, Dempsey versus Tunney. I mean, that is way back in the day. Dempsey versus Tunney 1 and 2. Me and young Dave were talking about that the other day. Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, there is just so much to watch here. We might have to have some retro fight companions just going through some of the Marciano versus Joe Louis. Of course, Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson versus Bruno. And you can expand this and let's see, what they got for Tyson. And apparently that's just going to keep starting on its own. But, what is that? 10 Tyson fights. So much fighting, so much sports. Like I said, everything from basketball to hockey to literally cricket. I've never watched cricket before. I may even check that out now. $5 a month. I mean, I think this has got to be the best deal on the internet right now. This has got to be the best streaming deal. I hope that they keep this up. And check this out. If you want to get this for even cheaper, first of all, you get a free 7-day trial. But if you don't want to pay $5 a month, if you want to get it for even cheaper, pay for $50 and you can save $10 and get the entire year for $50. Here you can watch the Indianapolis 500 on demand, like every year since how far back. Look at this. This is insane. I mean, if you are a race fan, I don't know when the Indianapolis 500 started because I don't know a lot about racing, but this is going to take you all the way back to 1970. That is absolutely insane. Some of these, maybe not the entire race. Maybe some of them are. I don't know. But I said, absolutely incredible amount of product to watch. ESPN Enhanced. This is going to be one of those ones where, it shows how different athletes recover, how they train for endurance, how they study the algorithms, the power of skill, the mind gurus. This is going to be, I'm going to be a big fan of watching some of these. I'm probably going to watch, might be the first thing I probably watch tonight is this ESPN Enhanced. I didn't even know about this until right now. I was just going through some of this new stuff with you right now. And it looks like this is kind of like that sports science show that was really cool. So like I said, just a absolute ton of product. NHL games, 20 ESPN events, and more sports than you can watch. If you watch 24 hours a day, I don't think you could get through all this stuff in a year. It's an absolute insane amount of stuff. And I'm not saying get rid of your UFC Fight Pass, but if you're not watching, if you're watching Alaska Fighting Championship, if you're watching Thai boxing, if you're watching, Eddie Bravo Invitational, Jiu-Jitsu matches, specialized things like that, UFC Fight Pass has, an absolute ton amount of live coverage for that kind of stuff. They're bringing back the Karate World Championships here soon. A lot of other things. But if you're just looking for maybe UFC and boxing, having some retro stuff, I think this is plenty at $5 a month. And then you want to watch like the big boxing pay-per-views, maybe throw the Zone on there for $10 a month. I've done a review on the Zone. I'm actually going to leave that. That's going to be the suggested video up above. So at the end of this, there will be a link to my review for the Zone. Thank you for watching. This is a little bit of a long review. Like I said, I was kind of checking some of this stuff out for myself. I was getting lost in this stuff. So value-wise, I mean, I got to give this a 10. I don't like rating anything a 10, but this is value for $5 a month. How can you not rate it a 10? DVR content got to be like a 7 or 8. They've got a lot of DVR content coming out of the gate, and then the live content. If you're a UFC fan, I mean, 200 fights in a year, absolutely incredible. I mean, I got to give that, an 8. And if you're a fight fan, that's got to be a 10. So let me know what you guys think of it. If you guys checked out ESPN Plus, do you have any more questions for me? I can try to answer. Let me know down there in the comments. I hope to see you guys soon. I will be doing a fight companion on the January 19th card which you can bring up all those fights on ESPN Plus too. Just an absolutely incredible fight card. And it's risk-free. Take your 7-day free trial. What do you have to lose? As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.